Hello everyone, this is SHOBHA Rani R. Today I am going to take up the topic standard costing. The word standard means systematic rules or norms which are fixed to achieve a given objective. It is considered as a predetermined cost. It is also known as target cost. Thus, standard costing is a special method to control systems like process costing, job costing, or marginal costing. According to Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, standard cost defined as predetermined cost based on technical estimates for materials, labor, and overhead for a selected period of time for a prescribed set of working conditions. Standard costing is defined according to Chartered Institute of Management Accountants as the preparation of standard cost and applying them to measure the variations from actual cost and analyzing the causes of variations with a view to maintain maximum efficiency in production. Thus, standard cost is defined as predetermined calculation of how much cost should be under specified working conditions. The main objective of standard costing is it helps in measuring the performance of the work done. Its main purpose is to control cost and reduce it. It aims at simplifying the costing procedures. It helps in the valuation of inventories. It helps in setting selling price, and also it helps in establishing the control, set standards for various elements of cost, and to fix responsibility. The main advantages of standard costing. The system is the yardstick for measurement of performance against standard. It helps to set standards and to achieve the given standard set. Thus, it helps in planning. It is a good cost control system, helps in reduction of cost. The system helps to increase efficiency and productivity. It also helps in fixing of selling price. It is cost effective. It plays a major role in saving of time and expenses. The system facilitates management by exception. Thus, management's attention is focused on those expenditure and activity which indicates high favorable or adverse variance. Standard costing can be used as an aid to budgeting. By fixing standards, certain waste such as material losses or wastage, idle time cost, machine working hours, etc. are reduced to the minimum. Limitations of the standard costing. The system is not accurate since future cannot be exactly predicated. If wrong standards are adopted, it leads to more harm than being beneficial to the business. It is expensive and small firms cannot afford it. The workers or the system operations prevailing in the organization may not be capable of operating the system. Procedure of standard costing system. Before setting a standard cost, the following factors are to be satisfied. Organization chart should be prepared, which should depict the line of authority and responsibility. Cost centers for manufacturing and service areas should be clearly defined. There should be accountability wherein each expense should be identified by function and a person should be made responsible for such expenses. Standard costs are set for each element of cost, namely direct materials, direct labor, and overheads. Some of the steps to be followed while fixing the standard costing system. Set the predetermined standards for sales margin and production cost. Collects the information about the actual performance. Compare the actual performance with the standard to arrive at the variance. Analyze the variance and ascertaining the causes of variance. Take corrective action to avoid adverse variance. Adjust the budget in order to make the standards more realistic. Standard costs are applied more in process industries, service industries, engineering industries, textile and extraction industries. Variance analysis. Variance analysis is the difference between the standard and the actual performance. When the actual results are better than the expected results, there will be a favorable variance. If the actual results are worse than the expected results, there will be an adverse variance. Variance can be divided into two groups. One, which arises out of usage or volume, and the other, which arises out of price. Details of variances are the material cost variance, labor cost variance, overhead variance. Material cost variance further divided into material price variance and material usage variance. Material usage variance further divided into material mix variance and material yield variance. Material cost variance. It is the difference between the standard direct material cost of the actual production volume and the actual cost of direct materials. Material cost variance is equals to standard quantity of input for actual production into standard price minus actual quantity of input into actual price. Material cost variance is equals to material price variance plus material usage variance. Material price variance may be defined as the difference between the actual price and the standard price. Material price variance can be calculated as material price variance is equals to actual quantity into standard price minus actual price. Material usage variance is the difference between the actual quantity for material consumed and the standard quantity which should have been consumed. Material usage variance can be calculated. Material usage variance is equals to standard price into standard quantity minus actual quantity. The material usage variance can be subdivided into two components, namely material mix variance and material yield variance. Material mix variance is that portion of the direct material usage variance which is the difference between the actual quantities of ingredients used when mixed at standard price and the total quantity of ingredients used at the weighted average price per unit of ingredients as shown by the standard cost sheet. The mix variance arises because of changing the proportion in which the different ingredients in the mixture are combined to produce a given product. Material mix variance is equals to standard price into revised standard proportion of actual input minus actual proportion. Material yield variance is that portion of the direct material usage which is the difference between the standard cost of the production achieved whether completed or not and the actual cost of that production arrived at by multiplying the actual cost of that production arrived at by the weighted average price per unit as shown by the standard cost sheet. The yield variance arises because of the difference between the standard yield specified and the actual yield obtained. This is generally due to abnormal losses in production, qualitative difference in input, such as the dampness in the material. Material yield variance can be calculated as material yield variance is equals to material usage variance minus material mix variance. Material yield variance is equals to standard loss in terms of actual input minus actual loss on actual input into average standard price. Labor variances. Labor cost variance. According to ICMA, terminology defines direct labor cost variance as the difference between the standard direct wages specified for the production achieved, whether completed or not, and actual direct wages incurred. Labor cost variance is equals to standard time into standard price minus actual time into actual price. Direct wages cost variance is broken into two components, namely direct wage rate variance and direct wage efficiency variance. Direct labor rate variance is defined as direct wages rate variance as that portion of the direct wages cost variance which is due to the difference between the standard rate of pay specified and the actual rate paid. Labor rate variance can be calculated. Labor rate is equals to actual labor time into standard wage rate minus actual wage rate. Labor efficiency variance is defined as the direct wages efficiency variance, that portion of the direct wages cost variance which is the difference between the standard direct wages cost for the production achieved, whether completed or not, and the actual hours at standard rates. The direct efficiency variance can be calculated as standard wage rate into standard labor time minus actual labor time. Labor idle time variance. This variance arises whenever there is an abnormal idle time caused by power failure, machine breakdown, etc. This variance will always be unfavorable. It is calculated as idle time variance is equals to abnormal idle time into standard wage rate. Labor gang variance. This is also popularly known as gang composition variance. This is similar to the material mix variance and arises because of a change in the opposition of workforce. This may arise when skilled laborer is made to do the job normally done by unskilled labor. Labor gang variance is equals to revised standard time minus idle time into standard rate per hour. Here, the revised standard time is equals to total actual time into standard time of particular labor divided by total standard time of all the laborer. Labor yield variance. This variance reveals the effect on labor cost of actual output or yield being more or less than standard yield. Labor yield variance is calculated as actual yield minus standard yield in units expected from the actual hours worked into standard labor cost per unit. Thank you.